Russia's massive strike on Ukrainian territory. Military and civilian captives returned to Ukraine. Kremlin rejects Vatican talks.
Vatican as a Maidan for negotiations, but it's a bit elegant.
I'm Albina Pinterniak. We will analyze the news of Ukraine and the world together. Today, Russia carried out a massive combined attack on the territory of Ukraine. Drones and ballistic missiles were used. This is clear evidence of how much Russia wants peace.
Right now, parts of Russian missiles and drones are being neutralized in Kyiv. Rescue works are ongoing, and emergency services are working at the sites of hits and debris falls, wherever necessary. There were many fires and explosions in the city at night. Residential buildings, cars and enterprises were again damaged. Unfortunately, there are injured people. It was a difficult night for the whole Ukraine. 250 strike drones, the absolute majority of which are Iranian Shaheeds, 14 ballistic missiles. The regions of Odessa, Vinnytsia, Sumy, Kharkiv, Donetsk, Kyiv and Dnipro were affected. The targets everywhere were civilians. There are dead people. My condolences to their families and friends. With each such shelling, the world becomes convinced of the reason for protracting war by Moscow. Ukraine has repeatedly proposed a ceasefire, both complete and in the air. All this has been ignored. It is obvious that we need to put much more pressure on Russia to achieve results and start real diplomacy. We are waiting for sanctions from the US, Europe and all our partners. Only additional sanctions against key sectors of the Russian economy will force Moscow to cease fire. Thank you to everyone who helps and supports.
Video of the shelling of the Ukrainian capital Vladimir Zelensky showed in his Telegram. But Ukrainians do not give up. This video was shot during an air raid. During an air raid, the Ukrainian national anthem is played in the dormitory of the music school. Uncontrollable emotions. Ukrainian soldiers are returning home. 1,000 for 1,000 exchanges being implemented. Now you will see the first reactions of those soldiers who spent months and years in Russian captivity, where they were subjected on unhuman torture and humiliation. Ukrainian prisoners of war have returned to their homeland and are able to communicate with their relatives.
Mum, hello. Mum, I'm alive. I'm alive, I'll be home soon. I'll be soon, Mum. I miss you, I'll call you. I'm glad you're alive, I'm glad to hear from you. We'll see you soon. They will release me soon, it will get nowhere. They will let me go, I won't ask them. Well. Mum, everything is fine. Hello to all of us, everything is fine. I am alive and well, thank God. Thank God. In short, I will get in touch and immediately dial when I have my connection. Hugged, lifted, kissed. Glory to Ukraine. Have mercy, swear, I have here. Nothing will be lost in your conversation. Look, what's going on here? I'm famous. Come on, I've got it.
Former prisoners spoke to journalists. Their emotions of happiness are difficult to convey in words. Some still do not believe that they are free and can set foot on Ukrainian soil and talk to their relatives.
What is your name? Alexander. Thank you all. No, nothing. No news. They twisted their news and that's it. How long have you been in captivity? 3 years. And where did they get captured from? In the Zaporizhzhia direction. When I was already leaving, I already knew. He wanted to see his parents. A girl with children, aren't you here? Are they here? In Ukraine. So tell us, please, all these years what has been dormant for you? What do you mean? Well, faith in return, for example. Faith, of course, faith in nothing else. I knew that I would go home. I am very happy.
Those who do not lose hope of returning their relatives and loved ones from captivity are also present at the exchange. They do not know whether their relatives will return during this exchange. They come up to the already released prisoners and ask if the former prisoners could occasionally have seen their loved one.
It is not here. I'm waiting, maybe tomorrow. He is in Novosibirsk in pre-trial detention center too. I'm waiting. He's alive, you know. He is a confirmed captivity. I'm waiting. Please tell me, who are you waiting for? Husband from captivity. Daughter told me to bring dad home. I haven't seen him for 1.5 years. It's not in this exchange, right? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything. Tell me, please, who are you waiting for from captivity? I am waiting for my husband, Zakharov Yuliy Kirillovich. And how long has he been in captivity? It has already fallen for the 4th year. That is, he left Mariupol, right? He is from Mariupol. And you? He is my brother. Ah, you are relatives. Tell me what someone said today that they may have seen your husband and brother. Do you even have any evidence that he is in captivity? Yes, it is confirmed on 2 sides. I had a connection with him. But today none of the guys said that they had seen him. And before, maybe someone came back in a brotherly way, earlier with exchanges, yes. And what did his brother tell about him? He is holding on, he really wants to go home. The guys are sitting, thinking about their relatives, and everyone is thinking about the same thoughts so that the exchange is faster. Did you also come today for an exchange? Do you come every time you trade? No, today we decided for the first time. Such a big exchange that we decided it was a great chance. And today the heart was valued here. I really hope that next time your brother and husband will be exchanged. Let it be so.
This is the exchange that was agreed upon in Istanbul during direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. This was announced by the President of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, in his telegram.
In fact, the only significant result of the meeting in Turkey. The Russians block everything else. So far, they are blocking. But the return of our people is exactly what we always work for. We will definitely return everyone. Every citizen of ours, every Ukrainian military and civilian, all Ukrainian hostages who are held in Russia, we must liberate them all. Today, almost 400 people are at home, 390 are military and civilians. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow are also the next stages. The formula is 1,000 by 1,000. I am grateful to everyone and our entire team who are involved in the implementation of the exchange. And I am sure to thank all our soldiers at the front who provide replenishment for Ukraine. It is the exchange fund. I also want to thank our law enforcement officers today for adding Russian saboteurs and collaborators to the exchange fund. It is important that Ukraine returns its own. Thank you to everyone in the world who helps us. And just as it succeeds, so must everything else that a ceasefire is needed. Diplomatic steps towards real peace are needed. A new and effective security architecture is needed.
On the eve of the exchange, Volodymyr Zelensky noted that the Ministry of Defense, headed by Rustem Umerov, who coordinates organizational issues and control over the implementation of the agreements, as well as intelligence, the Security Service of Ukraine, the Foreign Intelligence Service, the Ministry of International Affairs, the Ukrainian Parliament Commissioner for Human Rights, and the team of the President's office are involved in the process. At the same time, the Ukrainian side insists on observing the principles of international humanitarian law. Volodymyr Zelensky stated that he does not support the exchange of children for prisoners of war, as this contradicts the internationally recognized laws of war. He also noted that Ukraine has submitted a request to include political prisoners and journalists in the exchange, but didn't disclose details. The involvement of all the key state structures in preparing the exchange was confirmed the day before by Defense Minister Rustem Umerov. Rustem Umerov emphasized a step-by-step plan for implementing the agreement has been agreed with consideration of security, humanitarian and logistical aspects, as well as the talks for the coming days. Our goal is unchanged. This is to return home everyone. According to the head of the presidential office, Andriy Yermak, Ukraine is coordinating negotiation from the position of achieving a just and lasting peace. But the next meeting with representatives of the Russian Federation will take place only after the implementation of the agreements of the prisoners' exchange. The next stage of the negotiations, as previously reported, may take place in the Vatican in mid-June. The exchange became known against the background of the statement of US President Donald Trump in his social network, Truth Social, he wrote.
A major prisoner swap was just completed between Russia and Ukraine. It will go into effect shortly. Congratulations on both sides of this negotiation. This could lead to some big
Putin is confident that things are going well in his army. That is why the Russian dictator decides to recruit another 343,000 occupiers this year in order to achieve his inadequate goals. Among the main ones, Putin seeks to seize part of the Sumy and Kharkiv regions, and he also wants to reach the borders of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. The number of occupiers that the Russians can put on the battlefield will allow Putin to maintain the current intensity of hostilities. At the same time, the enemy has problems with armed vehicles. At this stage, the occupiers are using quadricycles, buggies and motorcycles. The day before, Putin made a statement about the war criminals decided to create a buffer zone on the territory of two Ukrainian regions.
Drone raids, sabotage and reconnaissance groups, which will rain on civilian transport, the Zokrema of the carriage of the Shvidka help, agricultural equipment, will be killed and both women and children will be injured. I have already said that a decision was made to create the necessary security buffer zone along the borders. Our military forces are now actively solving this problem. The enemy's firing points are strangled, work is required. At one point, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that even now, naturally, in order to deal with the situation in Kursk, Belgorod and the Bryansk regions, we must begin work with the restoration and removal of everything that was destroyed.
Military expert Denis Popovich recalled that the Russian dictator has been trying to implement such plans for about a year. In particular, in May last year, the occupiers tried to create a so-called buffer zone and tried to advance in the Kharkiv region. The occupiers tried to get as close to Kharkiv as possible in order to continue hitting the city with cannon artillery.
As we know, they were unable to complete this task. They stopped near Vovchansk and created another center of their presence there in the north of the Kharkiv region, but no more. As for the seizure of the Sumy region, it is a question of the availability of forces, and as for the invasion of the Sumy region, it has already taken place. We see that they have more than 60,000 personnel concentrated in the Kursk region. We see that they are attacking the border territories. We see that there is a gray zone there at least. Such forces are unlikely to be enough to seize Sumy. Obviously, such tasks are not being set now.
Russia's cynicism is now also based on the fact that Trump allows Putin's henchmen to come forward with new and new statements and make increasingly inindicate proposals. Evident that Russia doesn't seek any peace and negotiations is another statement by Lavrov. He actually refused to negotiate in the Vatican. He said this quite clearly. Lavrov's argument is very simple. He points out that this is not elegant.
Yes, we are in favor of negotiations. Yes, there will be a second round of talks. They confirmed this, but this is already a positive development of events. Work on the memorandum continues today. Or not? It is carried out. Yes, it is carried out. I don't know about the other side. But our work is already at an advanced stage, and in any case, we will hand over this memorandum to the Ukrainians, as agreed. And we will wait for them to do so. Is it clear that to sell something in the next meetings? Because there is a lot of talk about it now. No, the terms have not yet been calculated. A lot of people there fantasize about when and where it will happen. We don't have any ideas right now, but to be honest, we probably have a papal nuncio here, or not? No? Now I was when the registration was carried out under the decree. But still, I just want to say that it's not worth spending. That they should not waste their energy on working out not very realistic options. Not very realistic, because imagine the Vatican as a Maidan for negotiations, but it's a bit elegant. I would say when Orthodox countries discuss on a Catholic platform issues related to the apostasy of the root causes. One of the main reasons is the policy of destroying the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Instead, Poroshenko, when he was president, turned to the Church of Constantinople in Istanbul.
At the same time, the day before, Lavrov rather cynically stated that regardless of how this war ends, Russia will never give Ukraine the opportunity to live peacefully. Lavrov is convinced that Russia will continue to put pressure on Ukraine, dictating its conditions.
When this conflict ends, and I hope that it will be so, that what will remain behind the constitutional cordons of the Russian Federation, what will be the order there, that the Zelensky regime will remain there, and, pardon the rude word, everything Russian with the violation of all norms of international law. And Europe, when it calls for a return to the cordons of 1991, what it wants, to give into the hands of this regime the inhabitants of Crimea, Novorossiya, and Donbass. They do not demand to change Ukrainian laws, because these laws protect European values. So I don't think it's an easy job. Here is the memorandum that we agreed to prepare and hand over to the Ukrainians. We put it together practically, starting from the most fundamental things, starting from what the root causes are at the heart of this conflict, and how these root causes should be singled out, like a cancerous chubby.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Andriy Sybiha spoke to journalists the day before. He noted that Ukraine is waiting for a memorandum from Russia on the end of the war and is preparing its own memorandum, which will be sent to Russia. According to Ukrinform, Andriy Sybiha reported that the upcoming meeting between the President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky and Kremlin head Vladimir Putin may be in an expanded format, and it would be very desirable for US President Donald Trump to join this meeting. According to Minister Sybiha, there can be no conditions for continuing the meeting that took place in Istanbul, because if one remove all these pseudo-historical lectures from the Russian delegation, there has been reached the clear agreement. And here is what Andriy Sybiha wrote after today's massive shelling of the territory of our country.
The first is the exchange of prisoners of war, and today, as the President of Ukraine reported, the implementation of this point has started. The second point is that we are waiting for the Russian side to share their vision, their concept, their proposals regarding the parameters of a future unconditional ceasefire. The third position, which we are also working on, is a meeting between the President of Ukraine Zelensky and Putin. We assume that this meeting could be in an expanded format. We would very much appreciate if President Trump joined it, and we always consistently insist that Europe must be at the table of possible future negotiations.
We're very grateful to our partners for their support. It is extremely important for Ukrainians to understand that we are not alone in this war. Thank you for watching this video. Give it a like and leave your comment. Take care, and we'll meet for the next news soon.